Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and others. Welcome to Conversation Oasis, a weekly discussion program coming to you from the Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. My name is Nana Blomqvist. I'm a junior researcher at the Åbo Academy, and I will be chairing this discussion and also joining in. Welcome to the program. With me I have my regular guys, Jalal, who is the owner of this restaurant, Simo and Zach, who are students, and we have David Mawby back, who is our regular host, but he's too tired after his vacation to be hosting this program. So I'm still hosting this today.
All right.
Since there has been guys, can you behave?
Yeah,
we try to always. We always try to.
It's really difficult at times. We try.
Are you restless? Sun
We
is
really
shining?
try.
Right. But anyway, let's go to some serious topics now because, for example, lately there has been, the debate about asylum seekers has been going on for quite some time now. And there was recently published a report about the rape statistics among asylum seekers actually, and it appeared to be much higher than among the same group of people, age and gender, as compared to the sort of Finnish population.
I'm always suspicious about statistics, and I'm sorry to butt in like this, but I often think that when it comes to these dreadful statistics about rape, it's what is reported that becomes the statistic, and I think that's something we should tell the listener beforehand.
Yeah, and that is a relevant point. The numbers were quite drastically differing though. And then on the other hand, there is this issue with seeing things for what they are as well. So, there is this discourse among, some people, that either the debate is taken by racists, or then it's those who kind of maybe not want to touch the issues and maybe even deny it, and they don't want to touch the issues of partner violence and such, and the lack of knowledge that the newcomers have about how this society works, and the challenges in integration and such. That because we have to be kind of honest about the challenges in order to do it in a responsible, constructive way.
But still, you said the numbers are suspicious, but I think we should look at the events and happenings, how the things are happening around us, and then if the number of rapes among refugees from Middle East is not higher than what we have in a local area, I'm wondering. Because these people are coming from war zones and they have reasons to do this, and it's very natural. So if numbers are the same as here, then I'm wondering what is going on.
You mean natural how?
Natural because in war, people are not following order, especially who are born in the war, like Iraq or Afghanistan or Middle East in general. So if that doesn't, people in general in war time, they don't follow the rules, they don't follow the regularities. So when they come here, they are frustrated and they are very stressed. And one of the things that they need at that age, most of them are teenagers or about very young ages. So they need this very much.
You mean sex?
Yeah, sex.
Yeah, the thing is
so if they cannot have it in a right way, they will force it.
But now you are kind of on dangerous waters, because you're saying that the need would create the behavior, and that's one of those most dangerous rhetorics that you can use when you discuss rape.
Not if you're educated about it. No, it doesn't create that. But if you're not educated about it, so then definitely it will. Like in Africa, the numbers shows that big rate among the population, big rate of the rape.
Yeah.
And in Afghanistan, all the time going on, in the Middle East in general, is because another thing is that religion is enforcing all the rules. So natural thing in the human body, but is illegal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that you mix laws and regulations and war zone logic. Wait. War zone logic with natural sexuality now. Like on a discursive level, you mix those two things now.
Probably naturality is wrong, but reasonability. It's reasonable for me that unless that we start just work with them culturally.
It's a sad fact of history, isn't it? That whenever there is conflict, wherever there is a war zone, women are going to come out suffering from sexual crimes and so on. This was the case during World War II when the Red Army marched westwards to liberate, so do they say, Eastern Europe. German women suffered at the hands of Soviet forces. Wherever you go into a war zone, you see this, but it does not justify that.
No,
there can be no justification, and the onus therefore must be on the receiving country to make sure that these teenagers, they are educated. Look, you have come to a country where there is an equality of the sexes, at least in theory, and to a greater extent in practice as well. And this is the sort of thing that is not acceptable. Now, I know I may be going over a red line here and saying something which is rather direct, but I don't think one should beat around the bush about this issue. It is totally unacceptable.
Exactly.
Full stop. 3 exclamation marks.
Yeah, so that's what I meant, Jalal, to make sort of a difference between the logic and the natural sort of human traits. Mm-hmm. But maybe, Zach, you have been working in Denmark where was it? In Aarhus, in Gellerup, with former refugees or people who had come there as refugees mostly, right?
Yeah, from Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon, I would say.
Yeah, and this was the same place where they made this documentary about the Sharia law in this community in Denmark. That was a shock for the Danish community, that it was actually practiced within the community in there. So, what's your thoughts about this at this point after?
Quite scary in some kind of way. That's how we build up different societies in the society, and they live by their own rules and things like that. Yeah. I'm quite speechless about it right now.
Can I just make one point here? 20 years, 18 years coming from war, it's easy to condemn them. But we don't want to admit that we are not ready to work with them, to teach them that this is different location, this is different system, this is different life.
Yes,
you gotta, we should take care of their problem. They don't understand this is a problem. So we should, as a world civilized country, we should
take responsibility.
But
we got there, yes.
Yes, we should do, but why are we not doing it then?
Yeah, that's a
good question. But like, if you see like how it is in Gellerup, are we gonna see that in Finland also? No, probably not, because we're not letting in so much people as the Danes or Swedes do. They have a totally different situation.
But that's probably not the only problem. I mean,
no, it's not,
the amount of people, it's how you receive them and how
do we already have it here in Finland? Do we want to build this kind of own free zones?
I think that's a dangerous path to go down. I think to build free zones, or what they call in some parts of the world no-go areas, where you have a small tightly knit community that rules itself, where even though the country they're in has its own set of laws and regulations governing life, based on some form of democratic accountability. And I think that when you open the door to saying yes, Shia law or whatever other law, then you're really going on very, very thin ice, and the consequences may be very hard to control, as is in the case of female circumcision, for instance, and also rape and a lot of other things, persecution of gays within Islamic communities in Western countries.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
we should talk about it at least.
Yeah, that's what we do.
But one problem is that, like, those parties who take the debate, I mean, those who sort of steal the debate, are those who either kind of want to relativize the whole phenomena and sort of push away the responsibility for actually an integration process that is not two-directional. Because we don't want the war logic to start living here, right?
No.
But from some people, it kind of seems like, well, they're just people and they can just, they will understand. No, they will not. We have to take responsibility.
And also, we need to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, well, look at the prosecutions for rape against women in this country. How many cases are dismissed and for no valid reason, and people get off scot-free? And I'm not talking about immigrants. I'm talking about people born in this country.
Exactly. So,
but if you look at it like individually or individual cases like that, it's very easy to condemn. But I think the guns that Finland is selling to the Middle East is killing and raising more issues than these rapes. So
I agree that.
Yeah,
right.
So
Yes.
As I don't know, as well-educated people who are having good standard of living in here, so we have to take care of the problem. There is no go zone. We are all human. There is no alien among us.
I mean, it's like if you go and live in any foreign country, with foreign to you that is. Supposing I went and lived in
Portugal.
say in Portugal or Iraq or so on, I'd have to know in advance how I should behave there, how I should dress, what are the cultural norms, have at least some basic information. But when I came to Finland in 1972, I didn't know. It was, and taking clothes off to go into a sauna was quite something for a sort of an old-fashioned Brit at the age of 21. So you've got to know in advance, and it's up to the receiving country to give that information. I'd have thought this was your department, Nana.
Simo wants to say something.
Yeah.
What?
Why? Why did you say that?
because
you're wandering
you're
around.
silent for once.
No, it's so I don't really know what to say. I only idea that I was thinking that it's probably not the solution just to put the people to the jail or then send them back. That's not functional.
Education.
That's all I got.
Education.
I don't.
That's what you're saying. It's education,
But-
informing people about the host country's cultural norms.
And I've been
Excuse me,
thinking.
but-
Yeah, sure.
What I have the experience when I was there in Denmark and in Gallery, but the youngsters that I was doing work with, they don't feel like Danes. They don't.
No.
They don't feel like Danes. They do whatever they want,
Yeah.
and they feel like it's such a big gap between norms, culture, things, and what their own beliefs are, and they are in the middle in some kind of way, and
they're in the middle alone, and that's
of course,
and
Yeah.
that's the
And
biggest.
this is the sad
yeah.
truth.
But
yes.
I've been
Yeah.
thinking about like third culture child, I would call them,
Yeah.
like they're
or in between.
in
child.
between in the no man's land, and
Yeah, and then they have to deal with it alone because the major society doesn't take responsibility for these youngsters.
Exactly.
And the process of their challenges in the process of
Yeah,
so I wouldn't say like
But,
how can we come there, like it's
Zach, this generation of kids in Denmark you mentioned, do you find any differences between the generation of immigrants, the young people from South America? Why always this Muslim or Middle Eastern or African youth are more causing problems, if it is true that they are causing more problems? Why nobody see the younger or teenagers from South America immigrated to Europe? Why they don't make any issues?
or do they?
But
Or do they have
do you
the
mean
same
like
challenges?
yeah?
Well, it
But
can
we don't have a lot of immigrants from South America in
What's
in
your
Finland.
point, man?
Or what do you mean?
I think well, you don't hear so much from Indian there. There are a lot of Indian immigrants here, but you don't hear anything about them.
But what
I
you
think-
do hear about India
I
is the
think-
cases in India.
But
right?
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Middle Eastern identity is so strong. Parents are enforcing their own identity on their children, even if they are
Values.
born in here. And so they are beaten, sometimes they are punished to remain this Middle Eastern Muslim. So that's a case. I think that's how they are grown up.
even to the second and third generation as well. It goes on. I've heard of cases in the UK like this.
Yeah.
Simo, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I always want to say something, but I was thinking about how do they put it? Did they put it on news too? And how was it? Because I can imagine that when we write an article to a newspaper like this, that the numbers are significantly higher among people coming from wherever. Yeah, so then it's like, what's the effect on people? And I'm pretty sure it's not a good effect on people, because people don't really have. There's like a major fault too that we should, or impulse to that news should be this, that we're talking about, like increasing education and
exactly.
helping them, and it's gonna be the one that people think that what we're gonna do about those people, and how can we get rid of them. And that's just, for me, that one thing also that should be like knowledge, like I mean, all these problems, they are in our behavior, even though the problem is that, you know, we see this increase among this.
Yeah, we need to take responsibility, basically, and that a news article like that, as been said before, that those who take the debate are either those who want to deny it and relativize the statistics, or whatever information about the hijab discussion or whatever, or honor violence, or the racists that just will be bashing.
And another point,
it's an easy weapon.
Yeah, it's an easy weapon, and instead of taking the phenomenon in our hands and take responsibility for it, because these are people after all. I mean, a person can be good and bad in the same body.
Yeah, but
I mean, and a person can be a victim and what's the word, the opposite, perpetrator. I mean, one and the same person is a victim and a perpetrator as well. And Simo,
you know, like there's also, I think there's a major problem, and now we're talking about it when we're talking about the subject, like inside of Finnish porters. But you know, like you said, you know, Swedish and Danish had this problem going on for years, you know.
Yeah.
And we didn't like
we
didn't relate to them and trying to help them. We only relate to this problem when it's happening inside of our borders, and you know, like that somehow makes a fucking difference, that there's like this small slash of ocean in between, you know.
Yeah.
And until now it hasn't been like, you know, a major problem. Now we're like, oh my god. So I think there's a major problem that we don't relate to Swedish people, we don't relate to Danish people.
So we relate to Middle Eastern people.
Yeah, you know.
All is one.
All is one.
Yeah, God damn it.
Finland is an island mentality. It always has been.
You're listening to Conversation Oasis here on Radio Robin Hood. This is a weekly discussion program coming to you from the Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. Today I have my regular guys, Jalal, Zach and Simo with me, and our regular host, David Mawby, who is not hosting today because he just returned from his vacation.
And he's very tired.
He should be rested, but he's not.
I took the night flight home,
Yeah, that's the excuse, not wildlife at the vacation.
No,
we have been talking about integration.
What on a Finnish pension? You must be joking.
Finnish pension. You have to take a night flight.
That's slippy.
Easy now. Easy now.
Now, if you want me to go on that subject, but no, go on, Alan. Take us to the next subject, please.
It's been a vacation.
We have been talking about integration and responsibility in integration connected to the refugee, so-called refugee crisis. But Jalal, you wanted to talk about safer space.
No, well, I
So
thought
what
probably
do you want to say about
that's a good topic to talk about.
And you mean like the whole space, as far as I know you.
Space or whatever is in your mind. What is your
Culture.
So what?
Culture.
I want to have a free space where people can come and do whatever they want, as long as they are taking responsibility for their actions.
That's why I'd like to see places in Turku which are specifically designed for the promotion of street art, where artists can paint what they want to. They don't have to do it on buildings. I would love to see a place in Turku, if it doesn't already exist. If it does, then I want more where street artists can really let rip.
Yeah, that
and I say
really
this
nice.
after coming from Southern Europe for the last 3 weeks, where I just didn't sit on the beach, folks. I was looking at street art and talking to street artists down there. That's space for the artist, which should be respected. In this very, look around you. These buildings here, they're not particularly beautiful.
No, they are
But
not.
you have Africa over there.
You have Africa.
Where do you have Africa?
Yes, we have Africa. That's peeling off
Where?
the wall. Yes, I've got on here in Uudenmaankatu. Yes,
I don't
yes.
see the Africa.
Yeah, it's on Uudenmaankatu number
you
number
mean
6.
the
Yes.
You mean
colour
the
is-
paint,
Yeah.
the paint that has been peeling off.
No, more space for artists, more space. Yes, why to close ourselves in this short life that we have in this form? That so that we must all be so regimented to do this. We need our own space. We need our space where we can go and dance. We need our space where we can go and paint. We can be ourselves. We can express ourselves. We need a 10-kilometre long stretch of beach, but we don't have that. So we need space elsewhere.
So where?
We need a space to express
I
ourselves.
think we should
So where
build a
could-
10-kilometer long
Guys,
beach.
where could these places be for street artists? Like concretely, would you have any suggestions or?
Well, my personal opinion is that on every house that is built during 60s and 70s, but that's not what people think. So I'm alone with this opinion. I don't really have like another kind of, to have like an empty, old mill, like a factory area. We don't have them so much, and all those that we do, they are going down.
Except Pansio a little bit, but who goes there?
Factories are
Yeah.
beautiful, but the 60s, 70s buildings
So
are
for
ugly.
example, I would paint every house that I see right now at this moment. I see 4. They're all,
On the day that
to
this
my eye, they're ugly.
Simon, just to come in here, on my way here from the airport, I passed through Kilo, which is to the west of Leppävaara, where there's an old warehouse that has
Yeah, I
been
know.
lying, which is adorned with art. And then I got as far as Salo, which unfortunately has suffered at the hands of the American rape of Nokia by Microsoft some years ago. And
Did you have to put that in there?
yes, I did actually. That's the way I speak. Well, I think we should also talk about globalization in one of these programs and its effect on our lovely country. But anyway, Salo, there, all these old warehouses there, beautiful centres for street art. But I think here in Finland we also have our own space which we don't really recognise so much, and that is the forest. Now, I'm not suggesting we go there and paint the trees. We could go and hug the trees, yes, but the forest is generally seen as the place where Finns can go and have their own space in one form.
I think Simon's
Wherefore,
Then I think they are very much distracted.
I just saw 2 forms.
They are distracted by
Yes.
the window. We shouldn't sit here next time.
Yes, it's like
It's summer now,
summertime and
Yeah.
the boys are distracted.
Spring is in the air, folks.
Well, so guys,
And it's
you
on
want-
the air, on
do you want
Radio
to
Robin
share-
Hood.
Oh my
do you want
God.
to share your
What was it?
thoughts? What's
What
going
was it
on,
you saw?
guys?
I'll sit on the other side of
It's
the
a
table.
warm feeling from inside that you can't describe. Oh my God.
I didn't like his haircut. No,
yeah.
I'm
and
I'm
eyeglass.
sorry for my unprofessionality.
Don't worry about
It
it.
will not happen again.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
the listeners
So-
love this
so-
sort of stuff. By the way, that when things don't sort of follow the plan that's written and follow the script.
But
Yes, Karen,
David,
yes.
we are living real, and there are all the time limitations around us. You cannot paint every wall. You
course
cannot
not. No.
be
Mustn't.
free and do whatever you want. So, how can you make yourself feel good? Most of the time I see people are stressed or they are frustrated with the limitation all the time they are in, like school, like work office, or wherever they are. We are living in the time that we see the future possibilities and facilities and everything, but we are living in the past. So somehow we want to live in the future, but it's not possible. and we feel a little bit we are more limited.
What do you mean
And
by
that,
want to live in the future?
Because people have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And when they want to choose to make decision, they don't know what to do.
It's too many options.
It's too many options.
The grass is always greener
on the other side.
Too many options, too many choices, and then when you want to make decision, it's hard for you, and then it's very stressful. You don't know what is best for you, and you pick one, and later on you regret again. So how can?
So what's wrong with us?
You listen to your heart and your intuition.
You see, it is the spiritual void we all suffer from, brethren.
But why do we do that then?
What?
Yeah, why do we have this spiritual lack?
Because we're so out of tune with nature, and we're so out of tune with everything that is not materialistic, that's why. We're out of touch of our place on planet Earth and the position of planet Earth within the universe. We have been duped. We've been bribed into this consumerist society we live in, and where there are no spiritual values, where there is no thought of the supernatural, let alone art, except amongst a few chosen individuals. No, we're trapped in our own materialistic making.
This guy got inspired in Portugal. Oh my God, things were good back then.
Could we say that we are living in a neoliberal?
Where did you visit?
Oh gosh, no, I love you. You put it better than I can.
Neoliberal hell.
We are living in a neoliberalistic hell, definitely. Not only economically, but also culturally, also spiritually.
Exactly.
Where the only thing that we are here on this planet to do is to consume and die.
Yeah, I would be prone to agree with that.
Well, I hope you're more than prone. Be a bit more. Come on, don't be a politician now.
Somebody say something
positive. This is a very Finnish way of expressing my agreement with your position.
I've learned something after 45 years.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yes.
You said you're tired, but you don't sound tired at all.
Well,
sometimes when you're tired, like you don't have inhibitions. You just let things come out the way they are.
Well, I must tell the listeners, I was on an airline last night where they automatically tell all the passengers that the consumption of alcohol is limited. 3 guesses as to what the airline is. So no, I'm genuinely tired.
Did you get to buy any lottery tickets?
No.
Okay.
No.
Lottery tickets.
And I could, lottery tickets. Yes, it's difficult to pronounce. I know.
Lottery tickets.
Lottery ticket. I got but I didn't.
No, I'm interested about this neoliberalism.
Neoliberalism.
Yeah.
Do you wonder what it is, or?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, I can try to shortly explain before we close this session. It's a bit tricky, but. It's basically when the whole development is prioritizing the capital. When capital gives income, everything is prioritized in that direction, which has the consequence and also the motivation to make rich people richer and poor people poorer, and make them cheap labor, and everything will be commodified. Everything from healthcare to childcare to post office services to law
enforcement.
What's this law?
Yes, law enforcement. Yes, in other words, our everyday current reality, which is based on money and nothing but, and the greed of money.
Well, you are quite a pessimist now.
And your life is
What?
based
But
on
we are
love
describing
anyway.
neoliberalism, and neoliberalism is not a beautiful thing. So that's why it sounds so pessimistic. Because neoliberalism is ugly.
Yeah, the sad thing is that this is marketed as being the only economic option by the school just up the road, the Turku School of Economics,
Exactly.
which is ridiculous. It just shows you how the paradigm has changed against any kind of diversity in economic thinking.
Exactly, and that's called TINA. There is no alternative. Yes. And with this,
and
we will close this program for today. So this was all we have on Conversation Oasis today. That came to you from the Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the center of Turku. Thanks to you guys, Zach, Simo, David and Jalal. And listeners,
And Nana.
And Nana, the
Nana.
host.
Yeah.
We love you, Nana.
I'm happy to hear that.
Can we
See you
talk about nature next time?
See you next. Hear from you next
All right,
week.
nature.
Bye.